Iran and Belarus, two nations that have been sanctioned by the West, are now seeing more recognition in the global forum, especially with Iran now a part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and Belarus set to become a full member by 2024. The question is, what does this mean for the West and how does it help in the enhancement of the SCO? To talk more on this, we have with us Brahma Chelani, Professor of Strategic Studies at Center for Policy Research. Thank you so much for joining us in WION, sir.
Thank you.
Now, sir, Iran has now become a full member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. How does that affect the changing geopolitical landscape at the moment?
It's important to look at the development of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization since its founding. It was established in 2001 as an alternative to Western-led international forums. It's clearly dominated by China and Russia. And as its name suggests, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, it bears Beijing's imprint. Now, if you look at the membership of this forum, the SCO, it has 9 full members: China, Russia, the 4 Central Asian republics of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, India and Pakistan, and now Iran. In other words, this SCO includes America's principal adversaries. China, Russia, and Iran are the main enemies of America. And now, with Iran's inclusion as a full member and Belarus set to become a member before long, this particular grouping is shaping up, at least in Western perception, as an anti-Western forum. Iran and Belarus have been politically and economically targeted by the West, but they're not the only SCO members. Belarus is going to become a SCO member, but these are not the only 2 states that are associated with the SCO that are facing Western punitive measures. Some of the other member states of SCO also faced Western punitive measures. Russia in particular, the unparalleled Western sanctions against Russia are becoming even more stringent. China too faces targeted US sanctions. And then you have countries like Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan facing various types of Western punitive actions.
Right, Mr. Chelani, you speak of how the SCO contains members that are principal adversaries of the United States of America. Talk to us about how, with the inclusion of Iran and also the inclusion of Belarus in 2024, how will the West react to all of this?
India is the only established democracy in the SCO. And I think India's membership lends respectability to the SCO. Think of a situation of a scenario in which India was not a member of the SCO. Then the SCO would be seen clearly in the West as an anti-Western club of autocracies. Now you include Iran and you're going to include Belarus. So this image that the SCO is largely an anti-Western club of autocracies will be reinforced. But I think India's membership prevents open labeling of the SCO as an anti-Western grouping. I think once Belarus also joins, it'll become much harder for the group to point to India's membership and argue that it is not an anti-Western grouping. Yes, India is not in the anti-Western camp. In fact, India is very much tilting towards the West. And India is using the SCO to balance its international relationships. It sees the SCO as a means of hedging, strategic hedging. So the SCO largely provides India symbolic value. But I think the group's image will remain problematic, and that problem will intensify once Belarus also joins the SCO.
Right, Mr. Chalani, I was just coming to that. You speak of how India is not an anti-Western camp, clearly. Also, let's talk about India's stance. How is New Delhi trying to peg itself in the changing world order with inclusion of these two countries?
India pursues a multi-alignment strategy. Even though India is a founding member of the non-aligned movement, it doesn't make any reference to non-alignment now, certainly not under Prime Minister Modi's government. And India is seeking to build close partnerships with democratic powers while safeguarding its traditionally close ties with Russia. So in that context, balancing international relationships, including the perception that India is tilting towards the West, the SCO becomes a forum to balance these relationships. But I think the SCO, let's face it, hardly meshes with India's interests. It's increasingly dominated by China and includes India's other adversary, Pakistan. Pakistan was added to the SCO largely as a condition imposed by China to allow India to enter. China made it a point that if India is to join, Pakistan also must be included. This was for the same reason China is insisting that if India wants to join the nuclear suppliers club, then the nuclear suppliers group, Pakistan should also be included in the nuclear suppliers group. So the larger issue really is that is the SCO, part of this what Joe Biden calls the battle between democracies and autocracies? Is the SCO, an anti-Western alliance that meshes with what Biden thinks is a global battle between democracies and autocracies, India's membership of SCO notwithstanding?
Right, Mr. Chalani, my last question to you. You spoke of how there's a separate axis that's emerging, and I want to just ask you a question on that. Do you think that with this separate axis that has emerged, it makes Russia's position in the global forum more enhanced? Because we know that Putin attending the SCO virtual summit yesterday was the first after the Wagner mutiny in Russia.
President Putin and President Xi Jinping are likely to be in New Delhi in September for the G20 summit. And it'll, the fact that India will be hosting the G20 summit and it'll be hosting world leaders from President Biden to President Putin and President Xi Jinping would be such a difficult task for India. The geopolitical jostling that the summit will trigger will actually pose painful dilemmas for India. How does it balance the competing interests, the geopolitical rivalries? Because this is the era of sharpening geopolitical rivalries in the world. And in the new global divide between the Western Bloc and the China-Russia axis, India wants to serve as a bridge builder, rather than getting squeezed by both sides. So India will have to tread very cautiously. But I think it's important to understand that the SCO provides only symbolic benefits to India, not any strategic benefits to India.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Chalani, for joining us on WION and sharing your insights with us. Thanks very much.